We're always looking for people who are solving problems at the end of the day. As Jeff said, we're not interested in maybe drinking apps and things of that sort, if you will. We're looking at people who are taking on real challenges. That's where we think innovation exists, and it's a lot harder than some of the other things, but that's what we do, right? Which is probably a good segue in to talking about, before we go into all the methodology and stuff, why it really matters that you guys chose to show up today. It's actually a big deal in the world. We know now there's a lot that's happened. We know a lot more in the last couple of years than we've ever known before. In the last couple of years, we've come to learn that all net job creation in the United States comes from startups. So if all of us today didn't show up and walk off the playing field, we'd go negative at least 3 million jobs a year in our country. Within a handful of years, we'd be approaching probably 30 to 40% unemployment. So why does it matter that we choose to do entrepreneurship? Well, if we have any chance of sustaining the existence we know in this country, we have to. We can't stop. And it takes, to be honest, a bunch of crazy people, as Jeff said, showing up on a nice Saturday morning to keep doing this over and over. In the early days, we do things that don't scale. In other words, we always hear popular media and everything else, you gotta grow big fast. But in reality, that's a mistake. We want to do things that don't scale in the early days. In other words, we want to talk to customers. We want to go out one by one, look in their eyes, and talk to them. That's not scalable. We want to go out and sell one by one in the early days until we understand what our model is. Once we understand what our model is, and we'll talk about it here in a second, there comes a point where we push down the gas pedal and we start spending money and doing other things. But before that, we have to do a lot of things that don't scale. We need to understand what the problem is in tremendous detail. We need to understand our customer as if we're walking in their shoes. And we'll talk about it a little later when we talk about customer persona. We need to understand that person. Why are they coming into that coffee shop? Why are they buying that phone? What are they hoping to get from it? And that's where we start. That then tells us what we actually build at the end of the day. We have our vision, like Nick said, food and coffee shop. But what do we actually build there? We're solving a problem, or we're trying to satisfy a need of that customer. And so what problem are we solving? What pain do they have that we're trying to solve? Or what need do they have, emotional or otherwise, that we're fulfilling for them, right? So we're doing something for the customer. At the end of the day, when we get this right, we have, in the more technical sense, what we call product. So value propositions get embedded in a product or a service or a solution, right? So ultimately that water bottle is a series of value propositions embedded in some sort of physical entity. So we're asking ourselves, how do I connect value proposition